Hi, gang. So, we're going to try this little thing again with Bob today. And we're still not getting Zoom to broadcast YouTube. So, I have a workaround because we know I always come up with a workaround. Except, whoops, I'm working around, but hold on. I'm working around. Nobody's on yet, you're fine. I'm working around, except that I need this to show you. All right, Bob, can you see yourself?
I cannot.
You cannot.
There's a
What do you see?
on it.
A glare. Okay, so we fix that by turning it the other direction. You can't.
This is how to readjust your.
This is how to. Okay, let's see. All right.
AKA two older people trying electronics.
Two old people trying electronics, and it's okay because nobody's on yet. So, all right. I got to be behind to see if they're seeing you. So they're seeing you. They're seeing you. Let me make sure. I want y'all to see Bob. I don't care if y'all see me because y'all are used to seeing me. We know you can see me.
Well, I only see a small portion of you.
Huh? You can only see a small portion of me. Yeah.
Well,
I think that's probably something I should normally say bite me to, but in case somebody does join us. Aha! I got it. Yay!
and there's a beautiful tree.
There is a beautiful tree, and I can see you clearly.
Okay.
So, and they can see me on my phone. So it actually works better this way than I anticipated it working. So,
Well, very good.
we're side by side. So there you go.
Yay.
I'm just not in your Zoom. I'm in mine, then you're in yours. So.
And I see the beautiful tree, so.
So we're perfect.
Right.
All right. So, gang, if you're joining us, somebody's on. If you're joining us from this little Zoom here today, as we're trying to figure out, again, I have no idea what happened because this worked perfectly a couple of weeks ago. And all of a sudden now, all Zoom wants to broadcast on is YouTube. And although we have a YouTube channel, we don't have enough followers to go live on YouTube. And I could video it, but oh my God, we all know what that takes. And I'm not up for that right now. So, good to see you 2 days in a row, Bob.
Good to see you.
So, I was just telling Bob that one of my buddies, bosses, friends, sent us $100 donation today for the Dye Us Purple business and congratulated Bob for being able to convince me to do something that he knows is so far out of my my zone. So, yay, y'all keep them coming. That is fantastic, and $650 more, and we'll be at 100 girls. So that's our plug for that. Meanwhile, so Bob, yesterday when we got cut off, we were talking about the fact that you and I've spent a lot of time together, and we've been kind of talking about a show that you saw on the news around Valentine's Day. And you want to give people kind of the background on that show before we kind of talk about it?
Sure. There was a gentleman who was indicating that he was saying that everyone has a person. And that person may have been from, in this case, he was discussing a woman who had, in her late teens or early 20s, had met someone and was trying to sort a rendezvous in Paris, and unfortunately the person lost her phone number and was there in Paris but had no way of getting in touch with her. So fast forward years later, when both of them are old now, there is a ability for her to look online, and she met back up with this person. And ultimately, they had both lived separate lives by then, and he was happily married, and she was married at the time. And they did meet to have a lunch, and they found that, yes, they did still think highly of each other, but it wasn't the same sparks flying, but they would always hold each other in high esteem. But she wasn't going to have him leave his wife, nor was that even a suggestion or a thought. And she realized that she had settled. And so ultimately her marriage did end in a divorce. And the newscast, it ended with her having another love, and that person was so much better for her, but she still held in high esteem the person. And the person was that person that she had missed in Paris. So Kathy and I then started looking and doing our own inventories on who is that person in our lives.
And
I determined that it was someone that I met years and years and years ago, and had a wonderful association with. We had even lived together for a while, and we did a lot of great things together. And ultimately, that person found their own mate and moved on. And I'm happy for it. I'm happy for that person. It's not an issue. I'm very happy for both of them and wish them the best.
And my whole end of this conversation has been that I don't know that there is just one person. I mean, if I had a person, I mean, everyone that knows anything about me knows my person was Steve. And, that I don't think there ever was or ever will be anyone that knows me in the same way, or that I share the same, not even, it's not about the physical, it's about the spiritual.
It's metaphysical.
It's the spiritual connection, yeah. And anybody who, what's become real clear in my life the last 6 months, 9 months, is I really do have I have several periods in my life, right? I have the before assault period, I have the before AIDS period, I have the before Steve period, and I have the after Steve period in my life. And anybody that knew us knew me during the what I'll call Steve period, which started way many years before we were married, and before we were, in any kind of physical relationship at all. He was still my person. He was the person that could look at me and knew when something was wrong, knew stuff, right? But I have had very similar connections with many other people. I mean, not many, I won't say many, but one in particular comes to mind, and it's so weird because last night I was laying in bed, and actually I woke up thinking about David Bailey. And so, David, if you randomly see this somehow, I haven't seen David Bailey in more than 20 years. way more than 20 years. But David Bailey was a man that was in my life for a very short period of time. But when he was in my life for about 3 years, he was in my life on a daily basis. And he was from a spiritual faith that was similar to what I was experiencing at Kashi. And he was that person that I talked to every day and could call me out on my shit without me feeling called out on my shit. And I think that, for me, is part of being my person, you know. So how about you? Like, other people in your life that have been your person during your journey? Or no?
Yes, definitely. There have been more people that I've fallen in love with, and more people that I've shared my life with. And as those relationships terminated, I still care about some of them. Others, I'm not so certain whether if they came to the door, I wouldn't slam the door in their face, but I would just say, "What do you want?"
What do you want? Who are you?
Yeah.
I have a friend. I don't mean to cut you off, but when you said that, you opened up such a memory for me. I have a friend who ran into her first husband one time. This is one of my closest friends. She ran into her first husband. They hadn't been married, and they got married literally weeks after we graduated from high school. And they have not been married in, more than 30 years. And she didn't realize who he was. She literally ran into him in a store, and he went to wait on her, and she didn't recognize or realize who he was. Isn't that amazing?
That's pretty amazing. That is pretty amazing. I don't know that I would recognize some of my former folks from way back. I mean, I've changed a lot. I don't know that they would recognize me.
Yeah, your life's a whole lot different,
Yeah,
right?
from being military and clean shaven and,
To pink in your beard.
Yeah, it is still
little-
pink. Thanks again
little-
for the person who made the contribution yesterday.
A little pink going on. It was purple yesterday. He just he didn't dye it enough, but it was purple yesterday, and it's still there
I
today.
did put the dot in, and it's still. I went out today to an event, and I'm going to get a few looks.
So I think, because I've really thought about this a lot since you saw that show and we kind of started talking about this, and with the exception of Steve, this is going to sound really kind of weird, but I think anyone else that I would have considered my person wasn't the other two people I've been married to. Now, that does not mean Troy is not my person on levels, right? I'm not saying that. Or that Dan was not my person, the father of my children. But I absolutely had a deeper spiritual connection to people who I think maybe were in my life other times, or, well, that'll start something, won't it? Just people that I know, it's just a different connection,
Well,
It's not a physical connection. Right, it's an energy connection. It's not a physical connection. It's not a sexual connection. It's an energetic connection.
Yes. And it's one that binds beyond, well, like with Steve, it bonds beyond the grave, with the folks that I know, with my person, it extends beyond the miles.
Right.
It's not a mileage thing. It's not even a communication thing. It is an internal, mental, physical, mindful relationship
Well,
that's there.
last night we were on a Friends Together Zoom, and someone on the Zoom mentioned their late partner who's been gone for many years, and the fact that he still has voicemails from him, which he saved a phone to play. And his former partner and I were extremely close as well. And randomly, just 100% randomly, in my Facebook memories today, and Bob doesn't have Facebook, so he doesn't understand how Facebook memories work, but those of you that do, you know, every day you can open your memories and it will show you each of your posts, one post or two posts from every year that day that you've had Facebook. And so a picture came up with my friend's late partner and another with Lori. So it was for the Friends Together people, it was Scotty and Lori. And it came up, from like a 2008 or 2009 memory, maybe even before then, in my phone. And both of them are passed away, but they're not people I talk about on a daily basis. They're not people that pop in my brain on a daily basis. But we had the conversation last night. And so I sent that to John this morning and said, hey, I think maybe you should be playing your voicemails today, right? Because it's like that energy does carry through.
It does. At least that's my experience. I mean, I'm glad for the news item because it made me think, is there a person in my life that was the person? I've got many, many people in my life that I respect and adore and just share and feel very, very, very close to. But was there a the person? And I realized that, yes, there is a the person. And would I want to be around that person 24/7? No. That is probably why we were so close, is that I did not have to be around that person, or that person didn't have to be around me 24/7. I'm a pretty tough guy to be around continually.
Me too.
I know.
I think that's why it's so important that people like us, people that have that high energy space, I think where people get in trouble, and again, this goes back to some of the stuff Bob and I have been talking about since this, and this was just a news clip he saw. That's all it was. And it's provoked this month-long conversation between us. But I think, where people, a lot of times people like Bob and I or other high energy type A folks out there, sometimes we feel like, oh my gosh, we don't have somebody in our life 24/7. And we're not made for that. We're not.
Yeah, I don't call it type A, Kathy, because I'm not type A, and at 71, I'm not considered high energy.
I don't know about that.
What I will say is I am attracted to independent people. And I'm independent.
Right.
When you're attracted to independent people by the nature of the beast, that means that both of you are going to be doing what you do.
Right.
And that doesn't always include the other one, and it doesn't always, it's not about excluding. It's just, I played racquetball, and other people that I knew played swam. And you don't swim and racquetball at the same time. So, there are just things that independence creates its own
I think that's also what makes having those people that you have that energetic connection with even more important, because you're not together 24/7. You're not, I mean, when you're with somebody 24/7, what the heck, what do you talk about? Like, I've never been in a relationship with anybody that I've been with 24/7, friendship or marriage. But, and I talk a lot, but what the heck? What do you talk about when you're together all that time? I don't know.
I have had people who, if I didn't call them at certain times of the day, they would feel as though I didn't care. And I was just working or doing whatever it was that I was doing. It had nothing to do with not thinking about them or not, having them in my life. It had everything to do with I was busy, and I guess they interpreted my not thinking about them as not caring about them, which was not true.
Right. You had work to do.
Yes.
Or whatever. I know, I'm in this really crazy dynamic shift, right? Because until 6 weeks ago, Troy and I could go 4 or 5 days and not even speak on the phone, much less see each other. I mean, 3 weeks at a time not seeing each other is nothing. And now to be in the same home 24/7 is a whole new shift, even in that kind of life and relationship period. And I think for both of us, because neither one of us are used to that, and I don't know, how folks do it on a long term basis, but I do know that it's a whole lot more freeing when you have relationships where you don't have to feel the need, I have a lot of friends that I think sometimes when I look at their relationships, and that's just me looking at them from the outside, but that is the trust or the question about whatever. And if you're
Kathy, I want to interject here for just a moment, because you and I are talking about you and I, and we're very independent people. I don't know. I do know that this does not apply to everybody.
Absolutely.
But there are people who are, and I'm using a term, and I'm not using it in a negative way, but the term itself kind of sometimes alludes to negative. There are people who are codependent. They want to be with another person, and that is terrific. They don't work in a relationship with me, but if they find that link
right
of another person who matches their gears, then that's perfect. And their commitment to each other can be amazing.
And I think that's ultimately what that means, is who is your person.
Yes.
Right?
Right. Who is that person that matches up the best? No one's going to match up 100% that I've ever met in my 71 years, but
it's definitely food for thought, guys, and I want to hear what you guys think about it. I want to know, have you had more than one person? Do you have a person? What does that look like to you? Has that person been the person that you had a romantic relationship with, or is it that person that, maybe it's your best friend? I can absolutely say when I was in high school, Dornell was my person. Like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have made it through. Marion, if you're watching, you were my person too. But Dornell and I were talking about you a lot of the times, trying to make sure we were making sure you were okay. So just in case. My two best friends from high school just might watch this. So if they do, both of you are my people. You were my people. But, I think that's the whole dynamics of what we're trying to talk about. And how do those relationships look as we get older? How do they change? How do they evolve? Do we all need it? Do we all need it? So let us know what you guys think about that. And I'm sure I'm going to just keep thinking about this. And I'll let you guys know if I hear from David Bailey. Because normally if I start really thinking about him hard, I got a feeling I'll get a call in the next week. Because that's the way our relationship usually plays out. So I hadn't talked to him in about 3 or 4 years. So I bet I get a call soon. All right, Bob. I appreciate you, sir.
I appreciate you. It's always fun.
It is always fun. We'll be back, gang, and we'll be back with this figured out. I swear we'll be back with it figured out. I don't know, Bob's. But even if we don't, this works. They get to see the pretty scenery, and, so do you. You get to see the tree and the lake.
It's beautiful.
The lake
It's
is really
beautiful.
pretty.
I've been watching the clouds drift by.
For those of you wondering where I am, I'm in Avon Park. I have class in just a little bit at the college, and my college class is tonight, and then I drive home, and so yeah.
And if you're wondering where I am, I'm in Sherwood, Arkansas.
Yes, he is. What's the weather like there today, sir?
The weather here is pretty much like it is there, kind of beautiful, but we're due to have severe storms.
Y'all been getting a lot of rain too.
Yeah.
El Nino, we're getting it all over the South. All right, guys, I am going to sign off from the Facebook, and send us questions if you have them, or other things you want Bob to tell you about. He's got all kinds of wisdom up there in his
Stories.
His noggins. He's got stories. He's got stories. And he's got good music too. So he missed his call and he could have been a DJ. So, all right, gang. Talk to you later.